4. Go, 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 go!
Nice. Very nice. Front to back. Leader's garment. Quite happy.
It's alright, isn't it? Looks pretty good in that bad boy.
Excellent, I think the word you're looking for is. Look at that thing. Looks beautiful, done. Beautiful.
Now, only if you're ready for this.
Welcome back to the OTB podcast. We're back in action. Got the usual suspects of Red Dog and Lester, who's just become the third man on the show.
The third wheel.
Yeah, probably against his will. I don't really know, but he's part of it now. But we've finally got Horse back with us this weekend. Cam Cole, welcome back.
Yo, how's it going?
Bloody good. Good to see your face, mate. It's been too long.
It has.
It's been a long time.
We'll see how long this lasts.
So
my
yeah, we'll
VPN and my
see how long you can.
phone tether connection.
We'll see how long. Well, it's good. It's good to have you for a start. Anyway, at least we've got a little bit of credibility back again this week, so that's good.
Is the Wi-Fi no good over there, Horse?
It's playing up today, but I'm not sure what they're playing at. So
Do you run the VPN so you don't get hacked?
exactly, so many
So the
reasons
government's
to
not
run the
spying on you?
VPN. Yeah, yeah.
I'm currently running a VPN through Singapore, so you're probably coming back through New Zealand. So we're going all over the show.
I am.
Yeah, mine's currently turned off. I'm unsecured network over here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hopefully no one hacks this podcast. They'll get some low level chat if they do.
The best thing they could do is cancel it.
But you know what blows me away is that people actually listen to us fucking dribbling away.
Yeah,
I know.
it's a-
I had a podcast fan come chat to me in the weekend at the local Nelson race. Chris, I'm sure you'll be listening. Came and told me that he enjoys it. You know, said it's a lot like what him and his mates talk about, but we know slightly more. But fuck, I mean, we don't know that much.
That's
So
debatable. He was just being nice.
yeah, I'd say so.
Have you got sponsors
say it
for you
was.
now as well?
Yeah, we had Troy Lee jumped on board. They've been sponsoring the show for a couple of weeks. We did a little bit of a trial. I don't know if anyone else bought anything using the discount code, but if this goes up in time,
I was gonna say
its discount code is still available until midnight on the 20th. OTB podcast at checkout on troyleedesigns.co.nz. Get yourself a bargain.
I was gonna say,
But who knows how my admin will go.
10 sponsors, like, you know.
It's legit, eh? It's legit.
Yeah. We're just like we talked about. I think we talked about Athletic Greens and who's the other one? Manscaped. We're waiting for them to come on board. Squarespace is another one. We're waiting for Squarespace to join up as well.
Yeah.
But they seem to be more of like, you know, the true crime ones and things like that. So might not be for us, but we'll see how we go.
We'll take whatever we can get, KB. We're not beggars,
if
can't
it's-
be choosers, man.
If it's free, it's for me.
Exactly. Even if it's the non-athletic greens, we'll take them.
Yeah. Fatletic. So straight off the bat, Red Dog, did you message Gwyn last week or what? Because what happened there?
He's done some
We
prep.
did it, Aaron. We fucking did it.
Oh shit, that's
No,
good.
I didn't message him, but holy shit, I should have, eh? Like, imagine if I
screenshot.
messaged him.
That'll be gold.
If you'd messaged him, that would have really been the icing on the cake. Was it?
Oh.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, was it you messaging him, which you didn't, or was it me pre-buying the beers last week that did it?
No, so I'm taking this to the small claims court. You can't buy the beers as sort of a hospitable act. As, you know, you come around, we do the podcast, you buy the beers, I lend you an e-bike, and then you can't drink two of them and claim that you gave me 6 beers.
Well, I mean, there's this one. That's one of your beers. So there's another one down.
Did you take them home?
He took them home.
No, I didn't take them home. I just bought more instead of buying you some.
He brought them for
Take beers
yourself.
home from the party, eh?
They're still in your fridge. Nah, I'll pay up. I didn't see that coming. Neither did 70% of our fans on Instagram. But if I really wanted to, the amount of abuse that I took on the OTB Instagram on Sunday, Weasel, most abusive. Buy Red Dog as fucking beers was his message.
Yes. Thank you, Weasel.
No, there was definitely a lot of messages about Gwyn's podium. You're taking me to small claims. I'm actually going to counterclaim against Martin Whiteley for starting this bullshit 5-man podium back in Cairns in like '96 or whatever it was.
Did he? Did he start it?
Yeah, because who was the Australian guy? Cadell Evans was like fifth or something at the World Cup or World Champs or whatever it was, and Martin got the UCI to make it a 5-man podium so that the local guy would be on the podium, and then it just stuck from there.
Hey, KB, don't, because I earned quite a bit of money off quite a few 4th and 5th places, so I'm pretty happy with that because of the podium.
I knew Horse would be back in it.
Yeah, I'm all over it. I'm all for it.
If I'd got a 4th and a 5th,
back.
if I'd ever got close to a 4th or a 5th, I'd definitely make it. Mate, I would have made the podium top 30. And then I might have just snuck on there once or twice.
And you'd be rich.
Wouldn't you? Like if it was just top 3 though, there'd be no like just be pretty much the same 3 or 4 guys rotating through those 3 top spots. So it'd be pretty dry balls.
Pretty much. I don't mind the top 5 podium, and hey, hats off to Gwyn. He pulled it back. Man, I got a lot of messages on after qualifying too, and I was like, it's only qualifying that was my standard reply, but.
I seriously didn't think he'd back it up, but he did. Fair play. And he looked real good on the bike. And I reckon Cam's going to have some actual feedback, not just our opinions. But it reminded me of watching him at like Fontana and some of those places where it's super dry as well. Like the conditions must have suited him pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. Just moon dust.
Yeah.
Big bear.
But before
anyway, Cam, what are you going to say of someone who's actually there?
No, I just was going to say I think we had this conversation a while ago, Red Dog, about him getting back to the top, and I was a believer as well. And when he pulled his top 10, was it Lenzerheide? He was 7th?
Yeah, he was 11th. He was 11th.
Yeah. I was like, it's definitely on, and just watching him ride this year as well inside the track. And then I think I said to him, I was like, I'm just waiting for a podium, like, and he was like, yeah, working on it. And I think he just has a bit more confidence in the program and in the bike, and I guess having all that input into the bike and being able to like co-design with engineers and really bring their experience and like as a group of riders, like that's a team, right? And they're all having input into the thing. Like I think that's what a lot of companies are like, or race teams are kind of lacking. Like just that, like bringing the rider into that process and really like using the engineer team, the product team, or whatever back in the brand and the race teams to like actually have a good like product that they can go racing with. So I guess
what's going on
confidence comes from
and I guess like with what's going on with them and Intense is they're the only guys on that bike, so they're just developing it to be as fast as possible and work as good as possible, rather than like most teams are trying to develop a bike that's been built without that much input and then make tweaks to make it work for them, whereas these guys are just like, let's build this bike as a race bike number one. So and Steve is all about it too from Intense, so he'll be into it.
Is that what we're going to see with the specialization of it now? Like, you're no longer going to build the bike for the bell curve. You're going to build it for the ends of the bell curve, You
have to. Like, you want to compete against it because Commonsale's done it. Intense is doing it. What was Finn riding like? They're doing it now.
Specialized look like they're doing it.
Yeah. Like, if you don't, then you're not going to be on the podium, like... And that's
and I mean, has downhill racing got that niche now that everyone knows these brands aren't making money out of selling downhill bikes. They're just like the people that are still selling downhill bikes are doing it to still stay in the game, basically. So maybe they do go more towards that, building a bike for racing first and then selling it later, rather than like the days of just building a mass production bike and then trying to develop it into a race bike.
I think that's like,
be interesting
from the marketing side of it. It doesn't matter what the bike is or how it came to fruition or whatever. It's the fact is that it's got that fucking logo on the side of it that says intense or specialized or whatever, that's what's showing that your company's cutting edge and like at the forefront of design or whatever it is, so you can sell your other stuff and whatever spiel you want to have to be able to like say that this bloody 140, 130 mil bike has, you know, certain traits of this bike that we've been racing on or whatever it is. And that's kind of something we've been showing with the old Fury, and now having this new one like on the GT team, like, and that's definitely not like a bike that it's a carbon front end. Like, it's not something where like going back to the drawing board on like every like month or two to like refine at this stage. But yeah, I think.
Have you ridden that yet?
I haven't, but it's a new bike, and I'm sure it'll hang in there for a while. But if these other teams start bringing new things out every few months, then that gap between that bike we've got now and these future bikes from Intense or Common Sale, it's only going to make that gap bigger, quicker, you know what I mean? So
yeah. That's interesting, because that's kind of what we touched on the other week, with that Specialized using that kind of, I was going to say rapid prototyping, but, you know, that construction technique like the Athens are using, so they can adapt and be super nimble, and it doesn't have to be a production bike or a small production bike. But if that's the way that it goes, yeah, it'd be super interesting to see what the future looks like. You know, if they're evolving during the season now rather than every 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
There's always been the talk of how, you know, downhill is like the F1 of mountain biking. And I mean, you look at F1 and, you know, those cars are nothing like what Mercedes or any of those teams that are racing that are selling. And maybe that's the way downhill starts moving a little bit more. These really high-end kind of one-off bikes almost to maximize pace.
If someone's doing it, then what do you got to do to keep up? Well, then you have to start doing it. So
yeah, it only takes one.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Common Sale.
Yeah.
Common Sale started like going deep on it and really building race bikes, and that just everyone starts following the trend, I guess.
Got no choice.
But like everyone was giving them such a hard time for, you know, they built a prototype, seemingly were quite late, and they've now had the last 2 weeks, like Dakota qualified second last week and was on a pretty good one until he crashed, and then Gwyn claiming fourth. That's a pretty quick turnaround from sort of like drawing to podium. And you do wonder, like, if they can achieve that, what can be achieved if they find something that unlocks some pace or something. Like, if you've got the ability to move quickly on design, it's probably a big plus for a race outfit.
I actually watched an Aaron Gwyn video on YouTube the other day. It was actually a video on John Hall as mechanic, and he was packing up for Lenzerheide and he was taking new frames. So I was like, potentially, you know, they've made a tweak in there after the previous World Cup rounds before they go back to Europe, you know, made some changes to kinematics or geometry or whatever, because they can obviously turn them around pretty quickly because they're just building alloy frames. So maybe they found something that's kind of stepped their performance up a bit.
Yeah, interesting.
That's something in testing and stuff that we've kind of learned is like, when you're looking for a test track, like, what are you actually looking for? Is it the speed or is it the bump type or shape or whatever? Because it's super hard to actually find a good test track. I think that's where the kind of like this rapid stuff, manufacturing, whatever it is, comes from, is like, you can just adapt it, because in the season you're on the tracks that you are racing, and like that's the best testing ground, is like you're actually racing week to week. So if they had 3 weeks and they're like, well, that's not working, change, like you said, KV, kinematics or geo or whatever, test it again. Well, fuck, all of a sudden you can see it's working, right? And okay, well, maybe we'll see another one where they'll go further down that track of where they've already just come from, down that kind of whatever that is they're looking for in the new one.
It's interesting. I don't know if you guys heard the OTD podcast.
Microphone, Lester. It's real noisy.
Oh, sorry. I'm always playing with something. I don't know if you heard the Downtime podcast the other week with
Not
Finn
familiar.
and his mechanic. I heard it's a podcast a couple of people listen to.
No,
But him and Kevin were talking about testing and how they do their testing and things. And Finn made the point of you've just got to be able to repeat the same conditions over and over again so that the thing which changes is the bike changing that makes you get the speed, not your riding giving you the extra speed. And I thought that was a pretty interesting point because he was saying, I just have to be able to hit the same lines with the same body position and, all that kind of thing so that if we've changed something, then it's the bike making me go faster, not me pushing it faster. I thought that was quite an interesting point.
Yeah, just talking
the variables.
Talking to Fox, they said like body position's huge. Like if the rider's moving around a little bit, it just screws everything up, So I think that's where like strong riders like Bruni, Finn, Gwyn, they just they're central all the time. Like they're very rarely do you see them like off the side or off the back or like pushed onto the front and So I think that as well makes a good test rider, like just these little things that you just you wouldn't really notice if you weren't kind of deep into it. Like I guess Finn's right into it, so they've figured that stuff out and proper science in it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting.
Speaking of bikes, what the fuck is wrong with the Mondrakers?
Yeah, that was on my list of notes. What's going on with Mondraker?
There is something up with those bikes, man, because those three guys, like Brooke Tehoto and David Trimmer, should not be getting the places they're getting.
And
they're
even
better
Elena.
riders than that.
There are complaints about it, but
they look like they're battling to me. Like the bikes just don't look like they're working for them.
I'm not sure if it's geo or kinematics or like frame material and like stiffness.
Too stiff, maybe.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, but that's.
Are they still running the idler on it? Have you noticed that?
No, they haven't. Yeah. I haven't seen that on Tehoto's one, but are they Red Dog?
One of them is. It is on one of these. Might be Brooks.
Yeah, they just.
Yeah, because man, I'm like, there's just those three guys. Like they should be top 20.
Well,
week in and week out, really.
Yeah, like Trummer's in the top 10 1 week, Tehoto's close, Brooks close, and then it's just
just goes backwards again. Like I think Trummer was the fastest last in the weekend. He was 40th.
Yeah.
It looked to me like they weren't like they were kind of a bit all over the place. Like they weren't able to hold their line really well. There was a lot of kind of like sledging going on. I mean, it was happening with everyone, but it was noticeable for them.
Deflecting off everything, yeah. I think as well.
Yeah.
I reckon
just because it's got
a traction thing, it doesn't look stable. It doesn't look.
No.
I think it looks too stiff, but
someone at a pound.
Yeah, fucking gangies, eh?
Gang dogs.
Yeah.
Interesting. Back to the Gwyn thing, though. I mean, he was running Kenders and he managed to make it work.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah,
it might have been the first podium for a Kender in a World Cup ever. Wow, since about 1995.
Wasn't it a mud tyre? There was a bit of a mud tyre fest, or at least a pretty aggressive tyre fest. Like, and
we had some questions about the mud tyres and the dust.
Yeah.
Like a wet scream on.
Or a swamp dog. Put a swamp thing on.
Yeah, definitely a swamp dog.
Would you put a swamp thing sidings? Put a swamp dog on.
Yeah.
What do you reckon on that horse? Was it that kind of soil that is actually like it's dusty, but it's kind of quite soft as well? So like where a mud tyre or an aggressive tyre will actually really bite into it.
Yeah, it wasn't like loose over hard. It was like deep, soft kind of stuff. Which is so where the track was, like wasn't far away from the hill that you would have raced on.
Yeah, I was trying to work that out, so it looked like it wasn't too far from where the original track was.
And some of the sections actually had a similar nature, so how they cut it wide and there's all these trees, but it actually ended up being pretty one line, and that one line smoked, and then it just got like it was just deep dust, and then it was just like a big channel rut that you couldn't really get out of because that was the clean line. So you're pretty much stuffed, like, yeah, in terms of that. But yeah, definitely we had a meeting with Michelin and the product guy there, he said that the mud tyres would be quite a good option for there because it was deep, like it's not that kind of loose over hard, which is when, I think something more like I don't know, Magic Mary or a conventional Assegai or conventional tyres, bit better. But yeah, maybe that's where Gwyn just taking a risk on the tyres as well kind of paid off, and his experience kind of with that kind of style of riding and tyre choice and things paid off.
Yeah.
So is that what your guys ran, Horse?
One was on the mud tyres, but then we had like a 34 on the back, most of the riders, which is more like a DHR2. And then a DH, the 22 on the front, which looks a bit more like a cross between a mud tyre and a kind of Assegai kind of thing. Yeah.
Did anyone try running the Michelin Starcross 5? Because I heard that sticks to the track like glue.
Yeah, right.
Starcross 6 now.
Comp 6.
Oh, Starcross 6, I forgot that's come out.
Comp 16 probably would have worked, but
Comp 16, oh yeah.
The wheel sizes have changed a bit since that was a go-to tyre, but
they take a longer tyre lever to stretch it on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they still
I was looking at Vergier's the system, do they?
Yeah.
Less system.
Less system.
Don't think so.
Is that a question?
Loris, I think Loris was running a DHR front and rear from what I can tell from the photos.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good option.
Unbranded. Because I was like, oh, that's a Bontrager win in the men's and the women's for tyres, but Valley, I think, must ride for Maxis, or she was definitely running Maxis.
Yeah.
And I think he was as well. So
I think that team that Valley's on is on Maxis.
I think there might be
Yeah.
I know Bontrager have some new tyres, which are looking more like an Assegai, but it looked like he had DHRs on.
Was Specialised on the
good tyre for that.
Didn't see anything.
What's that?
Was Specialised on the Specialised tyres?
Well, from what I can see, yeah, it looked like it.
They
were running big meets, like pretty wet-looking tyre.
I think tyre volume on that stuff's pretty important. Like our DH22 doesn't have enough tyre volume in my opinion. But yeah, I think tyre volume, because then you can and then I don't know, maybe a what are they called? Inserts. Maybe an insert with bigger volume, and then you can let the tyre down a little bit, and it just tracks over that kind of chunky loose stuff a little bit. Like I used to like the Minion DHF 2.7. KB will be all over that.
Oh, bro. Best front tyre ever on a 26-inch wheel.
Yeah, it was so stable if you put it on the front. And if not...
2.7?
Yeah, they were so good.
Yeah, if not,
that's almost fat bike
speed. It would be sick. So good.
That was what we were running at Wyndham when we raced that first national there in 2008 before it became a World Cup.
Yeah.
And it was that real loose Chundry dirt and Minion 2.7s DHFs. They were so good.
And I reckon this mullet thing will. I reckon this is just my opinion as well. Just what I think. Why not go more motocross style and have a bigger have a 35mm wide rim on the back, 27.5 with a slightly bigger volume tyre, and then on the front have your 2.5 29. I reckon that would be sick. It'd be so dialed, I reckon.
Yeah, I guess nowadays you've kind of gotten rid of, to some degree, the case roll kind of problem.
Yeah.
And, with inserts, and that's really been the downfall of big volume in the past, So, especially on the back. Yeah.
So what I was actually going to start with about 25 minutes ago, I listened to our predictions. I went back and listened to the podcast, the end of the podcast. So I was like, I wonder what our predictions were, because I never actually pay attention to it when we go into the next one. Women's, we actually all agreed on that we thought Miriam was going to win. I'm pretty sure we kind of placed Cammy in second and Rachel Atherton in third. So we pretty much shit the bed on our women's predictions. Miriam crashed. Because Rachel didn't race, and Cammy got third. So we were kind of there or thereabouts. Red Dog chose, and myself chose OTB favourite Benoit from accounts for our top 3. He didn't even make it to finals,
His check
unfortunately.
got bounced, eh? He got liquidated.
Yeah.
It didn't go well for Pro Benoit.
Yeah,
That was a huge one.
I don't think he had a good weekend. I saw him with a flat tyre like on his fucking second run or something.
Poor old Benoit.
Just shoes were stacking up from there.
Red Dog, I think we'd all pretty much picked Emery as being a guy that would probably win, which, I mean, he had a humongous crash in final practice, so he looked a bit beaten up. So he didn't make the top 3. Leicester basically went full deep on that Finn will crash. So
yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I got that wrong. But I think I also followed that up by saying the top 3 would all be French.
Yeah, you did. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe I didn't pay attention to that part. You put Matt Walker in your top 3 though.
Yeah.
So
I think I must have made 2 sets of predictions.
Maybe. We're all over the map. Yeah, and then I'd put Manara in my top 3 as well. So we're pretty much shit the bed. We did all agree that Kolb could go top 5 again though. So we pulled that through. Kolb pulled a podium out. So yeah, our predictions were pretty bad.
Gwyn in third.
You said that you did make a mention of that Gwyn obviously has to be top 5 because you were sticking to that. So you did get that right. We had about 10 people in our top 5 that could get top 5.
Oh, okay.
So our predictions were pretty terrible. And I mean, it probably pretty much goes to show if you look at how bad me and Red Dog do in fantasy. So
I didn't pick a team again. Like, I just don't even care about it.
We'll get to fantasy later. I've got a shocking revelation for you when it comes to fantasy. So we'll save that up towards the end. I've got something for Cam. 4Ks from the end of the track to the pits, apparently. Is that real? Was it?
We paid for pit space, we paid for power, and we got all set up on, was it the Tuesday? And then it was like down the hill and then up a hill. And it was just so far.
What the fuck?
There was no way. And then, because we're not an elite team, so we just moved our pits. So we paid for this pit space and the power, and we didn't even get it because we didn't use it because it was so far away. We're just like, and then.
So you just went down and set up your own spot.
Yeah, well, there was this road, but then, so all the elite teams had a space in the grass area, like right behind that kind of finish area, like just down from it, and then that.
Okay.
The lift was and like all that kind of stuff, but even there was a bike wash there, and then like maybe 300 or 400 meters down the road was where everyone else's pit started, and it was just a free for all. It was first in, first served. So by the time we decided to move, we were already quite a way down the road, and it was so far. We were using the van and the e-bike to shuttle riders up to the bottom of the lift to like.
Oh fuck!
So it was
Was it one lift from the bottom of the track to the top at least?
Yeah, one lift. But then so on that road, we were just like literally on the road, and so there was another lane there.
Yeah.
You can imagine the amount of traffic because it's not just us using the van; it's fucking everyone else as well. So then every other team's trying to get past, and they're trying to bring spectators in buses and like shuttle riders in and out of the bottom of the track as well, like with utes and like trailers with fire racks on. It's just like, it was insane. It was like a regional or like worse. Like I've been to better regional races, like.
Sounds like a shambles.
Yeah. So
was it? How close was it to so the original? Well, like where the pits were was basically the start of the last track we raced, and that was where the pits had been on the original track. How kind of far was it from that?
It probably was 4Ks, dude. It was probably more. It was probably 4 or 5Ks. Yeah, it would have been 4Ks.
Because remember,
and then so the reason.
Remember that first track, and you had to get one chairlift from the bottom of the track up to like where the pits were, and then you had to get another chairlift to the top of the track from there.
Yeah, like that would have been better. I feel like they would have just rebuilt a track on that bit of the hill, and then because you can ride over there quite easily as well, but we were further than that, so you couldn't even really ride over to that next point. So the reason they changed the track, apparently, this is what they said, was because bottom of the hill, they're building this new building where the finish used to be, and then they had an option to finish it in on a soccer pitch or something of a nearby school, and just change where the finish just came out right at the end. But they didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
They did this, and they built quite a sick track. Other than great. Other than that, was kind of ended up being quite one line. But yeah, I don't know. What did it look like on TV for you guys? Like, was it a good show? Was it a good race? Or there was one point there,
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Apart from the graphics conking up.
Yeah, that was a bit of a stitch up. But it was a good race. Like, it was good. The track looked cool. Like, when I first saw the track, a few months ago when it kind of first popped up, and I was like, oh man, this doesn't look that good. But then once it turned into a World Cup race and it got rough, I was pretty into it. I thought it looked good.
Yeah.
It was a track that I was like, man, I'd love to go race that. Like, I love that sort of condition like that.
There are a few complaints though, Horse, about the track. Like, it did look like a track that they'd not been knocked together, but they probably were under a bit of pressure to get it done. Like, those bridges and stuff are all pretty
pretty
weird.
raw. There was a
Especially
lot
that
of
last one.
Those didn't look good.
Yeah, and then they had that Catalan Cup on it, and then all the riders the feedback from the riders was change the bridges, and they just basically ignored it. And so that was quite a bit of chat around in the pits about them just not really giving a shit about it. And then
that's no good, eh?
The same with the teams, why, it's like why, it's a World Cup, just because you want to build a sick track on the hill way over there doesn't mean you should, and doesn't mean that that's going to work for all the teams. And when you're hosting a World Cup, you've got to consider all the infrastructure and how teams can manage their logistics and all this stuff. You can't just slap a track on the side of a hill, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that especially that last bridge. Well, all the bridges, but that last one particularly, where what's his mate, Maya Smith took himself out.
Yeah,
Remy,
yeah, man alive. I mean,
and Finn just about he was in the pads pretty much. Holy shit, that
shouldn't even be, especially on the last piece of track where you're taxed. As a track builder, you should be this isn't a good idea.
100%. And there was other riders that got there was probably 3 juniors that hit it and crashed, and we were thinking, man, this is going to be gnarly later for the pros coming through. But they somehow managed to get through it, mostly unscathed. Maybe there was a couple of crashes earlier in the day that you wouldn't have seen in the live feed. But I mean, it shouldn't be unnecessary risks on a track. The shit's already gnarly enough. Don't put other man-made shit on it that makes it gnarlier or isn't necessary, because it's not necessary.
Yeah, fully.
It was weird. It was a weird way for the bridge to drop just into this flat landing hip drop. That was pretty bizarre.
The bridge was like that, and the landing on the bridge was way straighter, so there was so much turning on a flat bridge that I think that's where the problem was kind of coming from. Even if they just angled the landing out a little bit and ran that finish area wide on more of an angle, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
It's kind of comes back to that whole the unionizing of the riders to a certain extent. The video that was on Pink Bike and that with everyone getting together to try and actually get some, get a voice by the sounds of things, and get some of these kind of things heard.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you see it even at you go to a local race sometimes and you're like, man, this is kind of sketchy. It shouldn't be like that. And you try and tell someone, especially if it's someone who's been involved in building the track or something, and they just don't want to hear it. No, this is why we did it. Deal with it. It's a mountain bike race.
I feel like that could happen on this level too. It's one thing to have
absolutely.
But the organisers need to listen to the riders, because it's even team managers. It's not me on the bike putting myself at risk, or it's not the organiser doing it. It's not fucking UCI. They're not doing it either. It's the riders that are doing that, and if they have something that they feel should be changed, people need to listen to that, and got to give them credit and respect it, because otherwise it's going to take there'll be a race where there's something on the track, and it's going to take them to say, we're not going to start practice on that if you don't change it. It's what it's going to take. Otherwise, because it's happened before, right? Like, they've had riders advocates before. They've said stuff, and races just practice goes ahead, the race goes ahead, and then
It's definitely like, it was interesting watching that Pink Bike video, because Finn was talking about, you know, like, we are the show. You know, we're the people that are risking it. We're the guys that are, you know, we're what you're producing your content and everything from. And it's like, but they don't want to listen to us. It's like, it's totally a good point, because you can have these commissaires that'll walk the track and they're like, oh yeah, that's all good, but fuck, half of them can't even ride bikes.
Totally.
Like, I mean, you look at some of the people that we've had in New Zealand over the years and that are commissaires, and like, they don't know what it's like to actually ride down this shit at full speed.
Yeah.
So it definitely, it's going to take, well, it may take that to happen, you know, people, the elite guys to actually go, nah, we're not riding, and everyone kind of getting on the same page.
Yeah, I think it will, definitely.
It happens in lots of sports, at that level. I mean, the closest example would be some of the road races have been neutralised by the riders because of, in fact, maybe some tour stages as well. Not recently, but there's definitely been big races where the riders have revolted and just gone slow and said, no, we're not racing today because of dangerous conditions, or it's too hot, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's harder to pull off in mountain biking, though, I guess.
Maybe because it's more individual. You're not racing together.
Yeah.
Where if it was together, you could get a bit more of a like a, for lack of a better word, like a gang vibe. You know.
Yeah. They all get patched up.
Some pit bulls and some V-rods and
yeah. The hand. That's right. They just hand out some chains.
Like a cult
some
vibe,
Hot 86 in there.
like a cult vibe.
Yeah.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, drink the Kool-Aid. I mean, it would be easier, for example, if it was the cross-country guys who were having the issues. They would just be like, right, today we're just going to race slow or whatever. The problem is once there's so much money involved and UCI points and all the rest of it, a go slow, somebody's still got to win.
Someone's still opportunistic, right? And someone's going to be like, well, fuck, here's my chance. I can win it.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
Like, it was like when they, when everyone got together and they're like, right, we're not taking our visors off anymore because it looks stupid. And then Burrell turns up in the next race and takes his visor off like 3 seconds before he drops in for his run. Yeah, someone's always going to try and, you know, someone's going to make the most of it, sort of thing. So it's
the privateers would sell their own mother to get that paycheck, though, eh?
Oh, absolutely. You imagine claiming a World Cup win, even if the top 20 guys decided they weren't starting that day. You're still claiming that shit till the day you die.
Yeah, sure. I think that's the key, though, to it, is getting enough riders together. Even if it is 20 or 30, it will make a difference, because everyone will still be like, they'll remember, oh, fuck, you know, old mate still got in the start and fucking whatever. So, yeah, if you took 20 guys away, straight away, it's like a thing, you know, and it's making a point. So...
Yeah, everyone would, you know, all the fans would obviously see it, and it would ruin the live show, because all of a sudden you're like,
100%.
There's 20 dudes that haven't shown up, but you're always going to have that opportunistic person that's going to jump in there to claim a victory.
I don't think.
What if they run an actual gang vibe and they just like take the matters into their own hands afterwards?
Yeah.
The gang.
Yeah.
So they give the person a hiding. Yeah. It's all intimidation and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you guys see over the weekend there was a big crit race in the US, and a couple of dudes...
Wasn't a murder, was there?
Oh, no.
Nah, but there was definitely a fight after the finish. One of the dudes tried to put the other guy like into the barrier, and so 2 grown men in Lycra having fisticuffs just after the finish. And it was like a proper fight. It was, pretty nuts.
But they're in Lycra, so it looks fucking ridiculous.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen a fight at a downhill race or a mountain bike race? I'm trying to think whether there's ever been one that I've really picked up on. I've definitely seen some at an after party. But...
I was going to say at the after party. When do you draw the line of
that counts?
What's that?
Yeah. That
counts.
That counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can never think of anything that's like gone down during the day or anything. Actually, there was
I
one at
remember
Coronet
one
Peak one year. Mike
Oh,
Langford
yeah.
and Simon, I can't think of his name. They had a fight in the pits, but they were like 18 or 19 at the time. It was pretty young and
Insane.
dumb.
Do you remember there was one at Living Springs when there were some roadies
Oh.
riding past, and that driver had like
Yeah,
got
I
don't
do.
know, well, there'd been an altercation of some form, and it just so happened the driver decided that like the place to stop and rumble them was like right outside this downhill event, and all the downhillers just jumped the fence.
Donnie
And
was the
it just
first man
piled
across
on.
the road. He was
Yeah.
keen.
Yeah,
The dude got in his car and left. I think he realised pretty
yeah,
quickly.
he was
that
like, "Oh, I'm screwed here."
yeah. I do remember that. That was a good one because it was in the lay-by directly across the road from where the pits were.
Yeah, and everyone was like having lunch,
Yeah,
or
perfect
sitting
timing.
around. You do a lot of sitting around with downhill, don't you?
Yeah, it's a pretty common theme. Oh, that's good. Hey, so into the racing. Jackson Goldstone, fastest time of the day. But
so we're not going to have to talk about this, are we?
No. So what I wanted to put down here was I'm pretty sure this is how it works. But so the juniors practice and race, and then the elite practice after the juniors have raced. Is that right, Cam?
Yeah. It's weird. It's super
Yeah.
weird.
So the track's getting way beat down.
Juniors, all juniors, and elite women practice, and then junior men race, and then junior women, and then elite women have a practice for 15 minutes, so it's one run, and then elite men race, and then it's like into the racing.
That's a weird
It's
schedule.
all over the place.
That's real.
But that's what I thought because I was thinking, I was pretty sure it wasn't just like everyone kind of practices and then it's junior woman, junior men, elite woman. Like, so the track obviously probably broke down a fair bit more. Safe to say, surely.
Track changed quite a bit, and it was way hotter. The temperature was so much cooler in the morning.
Really?
Yeah, but and they see the track a lot closer to when they race it as well. So they'll practice.
That's a good point.
And there's obviously only junior men. So that what I just said about there, they practice with the elite women and the junior women, and then junior men are like straight on the track. And there's only 20 of them that qualify.
So they're turning around real quick, getting straight back on the track. You know what it's like. They're still fairly warm and everything.
Warm, yeah. Like you don't even need you just go back up. It's like another run. Like it's but fuck, dude. Honestly, as well, like he's still killing it. Like all those juniors, like those 3 or 4,
full credit. Like it's
insane.
I mean, I'm giving Katie a hard time, but it's bloody impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I was like, this is seriously impressive no matter what, that he has actually laid down the fastest time of the day. But I was looking at it and I'm going, man, I'm sure the conditions and everything, were way more favourable for him compared to the elite. But even so, I mean, no one's done that before in juniors, so it's still pretty impressive.
I think you could see it in the men's race too. No one went faster than who was sitting in the hot seat. The guy before Ollie's weight, like Brannigan was in there for ages. Ollie's got in there pretty early, and then there was no one, and we were like, "Is this the race done?" Like, no one went.
Maya Smith, was it Maya Smith?
Yeah,
he was in there for a while,
and then all of a sudden it was like you're into the top 10, and then all of a sudden,
bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Which shows
that happens quite a lot, though. I reckon.
It does.
You have these guys that lay down in an early time, and then you get into the top 10, and that's when times just drop rapidly.
But here it was even worse. There it was even worse. I feel like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty rad how those last 3 or 4 turns were so pivotal in the race. Like, so much of the race changed in those last 4 corners. It was amazing.
Did you see?
I had a note that, the last 2 sectors looked to be where the race was won.
Yeah.
It was like the first 3 all seemed pretty similar, and then it was like if you could execute the end of the run, that was where you made your time back.
I don't remember who it was, but one of the guys that was kind of on that top 10, top 20 qualifying cusp, they just nailed those 2 or 3 corners, and the corner speed and the exit speed was so much higher, you could see it visibly. And they went from quite far back to,
it was Andreas Kolb, I think.
Kolb's first sector was 46th.
insane.
Yeah.
But I think that's what downhill's all about, is just corner speed and like exit, because then you can just flow.
Oh, and Luke Myers-Smith as well. He was the other one who, in those last corners, pulled way massive time.
I think it was him. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, but it was obviously a few of them.
But on the flip side, though, like Angel Suarez, who was 7th, do you guys remember his run? And he made it wasn't a huge mistake, I didn't think, in those last couple of corners. And his 5th sector was 61st.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's like last.
Yeah.
He was over 2 seconds off the pace. It literally is last.
Yeah.
He
Which
went
is incredible,
6.552, 61, 7, and 7th overall in the end. So it's like he cooked it in the end of the track, basically. Like, without that, he would have been in for a top 3, if he'd been more on the pace of everyone else.
I've been, watching him's been real sick, actually, I reckon, this season. He's definitely one of the dudes to watch. He was so smooth off that huck, too. So buttery. And then that next bit, he just pinned perfectly.
So that was an interesting piece of the track, because it was quite cool to watch. Some dudes we saw some massive crashes in the videos from practice and everything, but some dudes were just they'd float over it real smooth. They wouldn't pick up, they just had it dialed. And then you'd see dudes come in almost slower and pick up and try and hop it. And it was quite interesting seeing that difference in technique. Obviously the guys who just kind of floated it and nailed it were so smooth on the exit and carried so much speed, but it looked like it was a pretty make or break kind of section. Obviously,
was that thing pretty gnarly, Horse?
Yeah, it was, because after that it was like you were trying to slow down into that kind of long left. So I think the guys that, in landing it, the guys that, like you say, KB, that went straight across it instead of going up, they were also kind of landing on the front wheel a little bit, which I think takes a lot of the force out of landing on the rear first and then bouncing a bit, so your wheels are off the ground. Trying to break into that next corner. Whereas Vergier was just going straight off it, landing with it on his front wheel, and then the bike was just on the ground the whole time.
Same with Bruni. They were the 2 guys that looked real dialed off, and then there was these other guys like Menard. He obviously had that huge crash in practice that was on Vital Raw and that, but some of those guys were kind of picking the front end up, and kind of almost hopping it rather than just riding off it. So there's when you see guys like that you can tell that it's obviously a real tough thing to judge. When you see the best guys in the world kind of cocking it up a bit.
For sure.
So,
did Eddie find his tooth?
I don't know what happened there. I don't think so.
Did you ever see the video of the Fernhill race in Queenstown? Eddie had a point of view video, and he loses a tooth on the side of the track. He's on. Is he on a tandem with Potsy or something?
Yeah, I think he was on a tandem. Yeah.
He's on the side of the track because I've gone down in this turn, and everyone's coming past, and he's going, "I've lost my tooth. I've lost my tooth." And then he finds it in the dirt.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Never change, Eddie Masters.
So
never
good.
change.
I remember years ago at Castle Rock, out the back, Paul Needham jumped the massive jumps that were out there. In fact, I think he might have been the first one to jump them. One of them, he chucked his bike away and basically kind of stumbled down the landing and ended up on all fours, quite winded down the bottom of the flat bottom. And in the video, you can see something drops out of his mouth, and it was his teeth, because he had his top teeth on a full plate. And it was quite a wide shot, but you see something visibly drop out of his mouth, and it was his teeth.
Oh,
yeah, classic.
Oh, grim.
It was gold.
So we were talking about racing as we got sidetracked. It's not like us to get sidetracked.
Who did I notice on the last turns? Vergier had, how there was the tight right into that kind of off cambery straight bit into the last left.
Yeah.
Vergier had come a little bit different. He went real deep. You know how everyone was jumping high left into those roots? He went like further than everyone else into there and then squared that turn way earlier than everyone else and stayed way higher. And then he hooked inside on that next left. Quite a bit further inside than anyone else had gone. And I was like, wow, that's the first time anyone's done anything different really in those corners.
So I think makes some of these guys so good is that they can just identify these slight changes, stuff that they can see, that they can look at it like the first day of practice and go, well, this corner's not going to be very good by the end of it. But if I go here, I go, a foot over this way, I'm going to get out of that rough shit and execute the turn and everything.
I think they're even doing that on race morning because like after quality, there's not. So like those guys qualify quite early, and then there's everyone else, and on a track like that, it changes so much. And then the next morning, there's basically 2 runs, and I think they're changing lines even on that last morning, and just adapting quite quickly, and then just executing as well. So I think.
Do you reckon they're saving them up? They're expecting it coming, like they're sort of thinking, I'm probably going to have to change this line, so they're kind of ready to make those changes?
I don't know if they're premeditating it, but they're definitely aware of like once they get on the track how much it's changed because it's kind of hard to pick. Some of that stuff changes a lot, and then other little things don't change. But that track as a whole changed quite a lot. But like you say, it does. It just makes them so good to be able to adapt a line that late in the weekend.
I was wondering if
I've got my lines and I'm set for the weekend. Like I think that holds a lot of people back, and you see them qualify well, but they just don't change the game plan, and they're just set in their ways, and then they drop the ball and go from like say qualify 6, and then like might end up 20th or something. I think that's the reason, probably.
Do you reckon that there'd be a scenario like this? What made me think about this one from Vergier was that, he's the last rider on the hill. Are his guys down the bottom saying those last 4 turns is where this is won or lost? It's pretty blown out. You're better to go inside. Is it like that late in the game, or has he already decided exactly what he's doing?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's like interesting, right? Like once the race is underway, you can pick up on that stuff. You can see where time's being made and lost. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just a secret, though. But I mean, that's.
Or has he got an earpiece and he's on the way down, and they're like, "Bro, turn 25. You've got to hook a bit early."
He's got the Swan on the earpiece and changing up lines for him.
Yeah.
The team director is driving down in the car.
Who would know? But I mean, that's stuff that's, if we're talking about it, people are probably already thinking about it. So. Or doing it. So yeah.
It's interesting.
Are you radioing Horse? Sure. And what info are you giving to the guys at the top, or are you just letting them do what they want? I guess everyone's different.
We got a WhatsApp like track group that I start at the start of practice, but we're still learning how to really use that. Like every rider's a bit different, and then like. I think Lenzerheide, there was basically only one real spot to stand, and that was that fresh bit. But on this track, I kind of got to the point where it was just like, man, if you're riding your line fast and confident, kind of like any track really ends up being at the end of the day. Like if you're on your line and you're fast and confident, you could ride any line and still be fast. There's probably only on any track, there's probably only 1 or 2 lines that are really going to like. If you're not on them, you're going to lose time. But then everyone else is on that other line, so then you just become like the same. You don't actually make anything. So that's where I think riding it confidently and riding them well, and then having the bike set up to back that up is like kind of quite important. It's sort of, if any of the syndicate riders didn't have someone on track, or even the common style riders, it wouldn't really matter. I don't think.
Yeah.
It's more of a mental checkbox for the riders, like. Yeah, sweet. I know what to expect, or kind of roughly what's happening on the track, because my guys down there on the bit I asked them to be on, and I just think that's it.
You've got it. Like sometimes I think it could be, especially if it's a piece of track that you're kind of, sometimes you get those sections of track where the line is just pushing further and further, and it gets to the point, like an off-camber turn or something, where you're sort of like, I can't stay in the main line anymore. Like, I have to stay high because the main line's gone. I think that sort of thing is where some of that stuff comes in pretty key. If someone's had an earlier rider down the hill and they can go, hey, look, that right-hand corner after the rocks, like, the rut's just gone. You can't do that anymore. You need to stay on that high line that we've talked about. That sort of thing can definitely come in pretty key in that scenario for sure.
It'd speed the process up too. Like the trial and error goes out. It's already, like you say, KB, you're dropping into your run already knowing kind of where you need to be rather than experimenting.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an interesting one. For you, Cam, I don't think I've ever really met anyone that does want to know the times, but I always know for me, I was like, I fucking hated hearing like what the fastest time was before my run. Because then I think it would start putting me in this headspace of like, shit, I've got to beat that time, rather than just focusing on what my run was actually, what I could put in.
Yeah.
But I'm sure like you'd be the same, do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. Like you can't control that. So you're already thinking about something you can't control, which takes up your brain space. Thinking about the things you can control and filling your brain with like the positive stuff, like hitting your lines clean, fucking pedaling, shifting, all that process stuff that you really need to be focusing on, I think. So yeah.
I'd be interested if there was like, it'd be an interesting one to actually kind of like poll the top 20 and see if anyone does ever want to know that, because personally for me it was never good, because then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, like, how am I going to beat a 42? Like, how do I go faster? And then you start thinking about trying to go too fast too much, and you start making mistakes.
Exactly. You always go faster anyway. You just don't know how much.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't judge it that well and you only go 3 seconds. And then other times you judge it really well and you go 6 or 7 seconds. And, I think there's, like you said, like, it's just that's where those good guys are good, because they can pull that extra time out and judge the run and judge the conditions really well, or even just judge that one corner, that's really the make or break sections or whatever it is. It's a judgment game, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Red Dog, what percentage pie are you giving Jess Blewett's podium to Cam being the team coach?
It's pretty high, probably at least 80%.
Yeah, 80% Cam, 10% bike, 10% rider.
That's quite high.
Well, that's just very high.
Yeah.
Cam might get a pay rise.
Yes.
I know, KB, you had a problem with something she was doing on course and practice. It's probably a blanket statement. It doesn't just apply to her either.
We need to.
I'm sick of seeing people in practice at World Cups doing fucking no-handers and toboggans, and you're there to race. Save it for when you're having fun at home. That's my rant.
Anyone else got any comments on that?
KB, you sound like a 60-year-old man.
I'm sitting on my front porch at the moment, shouting at clouds
and whittling wood.
Whittling something.
I hear
but
you.
Is it not?
But if you're Cade Edwards, like whatever, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, Cade's an anomaly there.
There's a difference between a toboggan and a seat grab as well, and most of what I'm seeing mountain bikers do is a seat grab.
Yeah.
Caleb the other day shot a photo of somebody doing a proper toboggan where it's like the seat's like up in front of you. That's where it needs to be. Otherwise, it's just a seat grab. And 90% of mountain bikes
than the back end.
Yeah.
It's not even.
You've got to have your wheel like in front of you.
It's the seat touch. Yeah.
Full lock. You've got to have the bars. I mean, especially if you're on a triple clamp, you've got to have that
slam.
You've got to have that fork crown hard against the frame.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Otherwise, the execution points are just minimal. Or zero.
But isn't it like counterintuitive or like contradictory? Sorry, like 1 minute you're doing a trick, next minute you've got the blooming data acquisition shit on. Like, what camp are you in here? You know?
But the guys with the data acquisition are not doing the tricks.
No,
they're there to win. They're there for one thing and one thing only.
It looks like Horse is frozen. I think he's
maybe... Is he shocked? He's shocked beyond belief, or his VPN
Yeah.
shit itself.
Maybe it's not the regime that's going to shut this podcast down. Maybe Jess is listening.
Maybe she's hacked us.
Awesome result, though.
But yeah,
pretty incredible.
that's a real props to her. That to come back from injury, double injury, triple injury, and
it was like career ender almost.
Yeah,
That
totally.
Won it last year, and then she broke her collarbone this year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Fort William.
No,
that was
pretty awesome.
No, that was good. There he is. He's back again.
He's back.
We weren't sure whether you were frozen or whether you were just so shocked at our take on toboggans.
It was a check.
We were just saying how impressed we were with Jess's podium. That was awesome. Good, really good to see.
Yeah, it's especially after last year's injuries, this year's injury, and then just not being at the races, to be able to pull that one out is
not easy conditions either. It's not conditions. I mean, maybe a little bit like Christchurch, but it's not like conditions she's riding in New Zealand ever.
No, she's
pretty out there.
She's learning quite a bit, and then she's also she's got that, obviously since last year she's got extra team support. She's probably refined her approach a little bit. She's really focused, you can see the focus before her run and stuff. And because I was at the top with her both times, for quali and for finals. And then, even after, it's just super interesting talking with her in the van on the way back to the hotel, just pretty chill about everything, but also prepared to because there's stuff for example, Nico said to me, when I was riding for Lapierre Villiers, he said, don't try harder, just go and ride again, do what you did and you'll just go faster. So things like that I know worked for me, that obviously worked for other people as well, or even just things I've noticed or seen coming back in this year, I can kind of share that with her. And yeah, she's got a really good mechanic that works well with her as well. And there's a lot of behind the scenes, just little things, details that all add up, and it's just kind of figuring them out. And then once you've got those details covered, it just builds up to this thing. And then at the end of the day, though, as well, it's she's got to execute on it. So, I think that's probably the most impressive thing is, when a rider's riding really well and they can just execute like Vergier did or Gwynny or whoever, that execution. Because we can do anything, as a team, but, the rider still has to do the job on the track. So, which I'm not saying that to, if any riders are out there, and they're on teams to, have them feel extra pressure from their teams, but they just need to use those tools to their advantage, I think, so they can make their job to deliver on the track a lot easier, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's because is she only sort of second year elite this year? I think she's still pretty young, right?
She just turned 20, so she was very
she young. Must only be racing her second year. But it's man,
2002.
You look back.
Not many 2002 riders that high up, Valley or whatever, and it's taken. She's been.
There's even less 1980 children in there as well.
But you look back at it and man, it's funny because you look back at it and you think when you're 20, you think you know fucking everything, 100%. And you know nothing, fuck all. And to have someone like you to be able to kind of just share those nuggets and point her in the right direction is going to be so critical for her to elevate her game. And man, it would have been awesome at that age, if I'd had someone kind of actually giving me some guidance and kind of pointing out stuff. It would have been such a critical time to actually really adapt your riding and get faster and better at racing. So that's good that she's got the support. So hopefully this will continue on.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the evolution of the sport too. The professionalism changes. I mean, back in your day, KB, no one had a person like Cam in their team, really. You had a mechanic and a team manager, probably, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, looking at the junior podium.
I don't think Cam was getting any nuggets,
He might have been
Nah,
getting some
although-
nuggets from Aaron at Laha. But
Yeah, well, I was thinking
nuggets.
Gary at Maxis. Like, what was he telling you before the start, Horse?
Yeah, I think that's where back then my teammates were more important. I think.
I was just going to say that's yeah.
It's pretty like, and then before that, it was like people like Nathan and John, just like, and things they'd say. Not everything I know worked for me, but I'd be like, oh, that sounds cool. Might try that, and I think that'll work for me. So it was just like always taking these little bits and pieces from like Nathan, John, like whoever, and then people you ride with as well, like racing with, you know, like Sam or KB or like even you, James, you and Moki as well. Like just all your mates you ride with, you just have those nuggets all the time. But then later on, it was like, fuck, when Sabrina was on my team, like that was sick, you know, because it's like you've got this person that's been there and done it, and they're on the same product, same like everything as you, and they start to like do really well on it. That opens the door for you to trust your product and trust the team and everything so that you can do that. And I think that's kind of like, you even see like when Sabrina signed with the team and then being on the team with her for a year and then just going through that process of like getting a coach and a trainer and then next year changing the training because something didn't work with the same coach and then doing some psych stuff and really honing in on that and then having Sabrina to like bounce all that off and then for her to be executing and doing it just gives you that belief and then just like opens the door for it. So I wouldn't expect that to be any different now. Like even for Jess to like show that on our team, like then all of a sudden Ethan, Ryan and Wynn like, oh shit, this is legit and we can do it as well, you know? Yeah.
Do you think that if it's not executed well from the team's end, could actually be detrimental to some of the riders as well? If it can add pressure, having all those little details. If the rider is seeing those details, and I guess not necessarily misinterpreting them, but in their head they're like, "This is all pressure. They're doing all this for me. Now I need to perform." So it becomes doubly important that the people in the team can tailor that to the athlete.
It can definitely crack you.
Yeah, anyone who's getting paid to ride a bike, their perception or their mindset of like going racing or being paid to do that thing changes. Like all of a sudden it becomes a job, you know, like, and then there's pressure and some people deal with it and some can't. But I think like on the team side, on our side, like each rider is so different. So yeah, tailoring different approaches to each rider, you know, whether it's just off the bike support, like emotional well-being and all that kind of stuff that, you know, athletes, because if they're healthy, happy, their head's in the right space, it's easier for them to deal with all that, the pressures and all that stuff. But so I guess from our side, it makes it really important and you have to be really careful about what you're saying and to who. And then all of a sudden, it's not just you as a team manager, it's like the mechanic or the road manager or the swan. You're like, that's where that team environment and climate and culture comes from, is everyone's like feeding into that thing. And like if someone's over there like bagging out a product or a person on the team or whatever, all of a sudden there's just a negative thing that's like hanging around. And that's a massive thing to like control as a team. And I think when you have more resources, you can focus a lot more attention on that stuff. Because at the end of the day, this sport's all 90% of it is these top however many inches takes up your head of your brain space. So it's 100%. And you guys you guys understand that. And I think that's just like, that's what it is. And so you've got to be super careful and really just like figure out the riders and what makes them tick and like what motivates them, and then tailor your approaches and have that overall team thing funneling to that one thing, you know? Yeah.
Definitely makes a big difference. Like I remember 2009 when I was on that intense deal and like I was getting paid and it was all good at the start of the season, and then Ryan, my teammate, broke his collarbone and all of a sudden I'm going to World Cups and I'm the only person racing. And it's like, fuck, they're spending all this money and I'm supposed to be the one performing. And then I just had a real shit season from after that. Probably in part with that crappy 951 that I was riding. But it was just like the pressure got, and like I said, I was only like 21 at that point, so it's like you think you know everything, but you're fucking young, and I had no one really like to kind of help guide me, and it was just I fell to pieces because I was sort of thought, fuck, if I'm not performing, what's the point of being here? And then I wouldn't perform because it was too much pressure and the headspace was gone.
Yeah.
So does that mean, like, with all that said and done, Valley Hole, what clicked for her this week then? Because that obviously worked, you know.
She didn't crash.
She didn't crash, but you know, has she been crashing like we said last week? Is it just been the pressure getting to her, and whether it's her making that pressure or misinterpreting things, or her team not having the right approach with her, or whatever?
Expectations.
Yeah,
I reckon.
that was what I thought. I think I mentioned last week. You know, is it just that she's not living up to her own expectations, and that's where the pressure's coming from? It's an internal pressure.
Highly likely. Could be external stuff as well, but I think that's always the main one, is that pressure you put on yourself. And then especially when you're in her shoes and you've won stuff before her, and then you just expect that. Instead of focusing on the process, like we were saying before, with like seeing the time and thinking, shit, I've got to do a 42, rather than what you've got to actually do to like get the best out of yourself. I think she probably just got a little bit out of that zone, and then I guess figured it out eventually, but let's see if that continues or not. If she goes back to that place where she puts all that pressure on herself again.
It'd probably be hard for her because, like, I mean, she dominated juniors for 2 years or whatever. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure she had at least one or maybe more times in juniors where she was the fastest female. But she would have been racing. Yeah, but she would have been racing juniors kind of under no pressure because no one was really putting it to her at that point. Then all of a sudden she goes into elite going like, I know that I should be first, second, or third every weekend. But then all of a sudden it's like not happening, and it just kind of snowballs, and all this pressure kind of probably internally builds up. I can't imagine her team is going like, we need you to win. I'm sure they're doing everything to try and get her there. But yeah, it probably is a lot of internal pressure that's just building up and causing mistakes.
And it compounds too, I guess, because you're getting, every time you crash or don't perform, you're getting more desperate for that result.
Push harder.
So you're probably willing to cut a few corners, or push harder, as Moki said, to try and get there. Whereas that might not be the best approach.
I think we made comment.
Corners. You're talking about cheating? Like
no, like in your process or whatever. Like you get a little bit more desperate, so you're really trying to. I know you're not taking a step back and considering the whole picture. You're just like, I really need to win, and become quite focused on the winning rather than the process of winning.
100%.
Yeah, we made comment the other week, along those lines of like, she just needs to get down the hill, like just have a good run, not necessarily be going for the win, and
build that kind of confidence of good runs back up.
Well, that was
and it'll just
that was Jess
all come together.
Fort William. Like she went for it in qualies in Fort William, crashed, ended up with an injury, and then for Lenzerheide, it was just like she just changed. She's like, I just need to get down the hill, get a couple of times under my belt, and something to work from. Otherwise, you've got no reference point to even start that. Like Red Dog said, getting into that process and being like, okay, how do I improve my quali runs, my race runs, whatever. And then a week later, Jess went 6 and 4 or whatever. And, just because she went through the process without coming in, just crashing and then, throwing everything away and then having no reference point to work from.
Yeah.
She got me some good fantasy points too. So, I was happy with that.
Oh, she might still be on my team. I didn't take her off from when... Oh, maybe I did actually.
When she broke her collarbone at the start of the year?
Yeah. All comes back around.
So you might have done good in one round. Then.
Yeah, if you don't change your team, then that's the benefit of it, right? It's just...
Nah, you dropped her, mate. You dropped her.
Oh, damn it.
You had Valley, though, so you took some points there.
You got to... Better to stay ready than have to get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Valley, is that her first win of the season? This season's already started blurring together a bit, isn't it? It's pretty much been Cammy and Miriam that have been winning everything.
Yep.
Cammy's put like another 80 points into Miriam in the overall now, so I think she's 180 points ahead. Another good one from Nina Hoffman, Santa Cruz top team
She's been
for the weekend, just so you know, Red Dog.
But
Yeah, she's been super inconsistent.
maybe.
Yeah, she's been up and down all over the show.
Yeah.
Did she flat? I think she flattered last week, didn't she?
Maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
But it was but like 3.5 second win for Valley. That's huge.
Yeah, that was mega.
On that track as well.
And then Nina and Cammy were only like a tenth of a second apart, so they were really close.
Yeah, Jess was 1.7 off third, I think, roughly as well. So
Yeah.
pretty close after that, or up to fifth.
Her and Millie were they were about a second apart actually, so there's a little bit of a gap there.
Fastest
Miriam.
final split too for Jess. Key
Oh, is that
section.
right?
Yeah, it was too.
Why is the key section never the key section?
This is like why were the pits 4Ks from the bottom of the track?
TV, bro, entertainment.
Have you got any update, Cam, on what's happening next year with World Cups?
Good question.
No one
Any
really
inside
knows.
goss?
I think they're still figuring it out, but I don't think it'll change that much next year. There might be a few changes the year after, but I think
Not too much change in one go.
Yeah, they'll be looking to bring it in because, like, you know, it's not like we can just pull an extra 100k out of our ass for travel if they decide they want to go to Japan, Australia, Chile, or wherever, and who knows if they even do that. But yeah,
Chris Ball is not stupid. Like, he's raced World Cup downhill and run the CWS stuff. So it's not like you've just got some external party that doesn't know the sport coming in.
and he's worked for you.
I can't imagine they're going to. Yeah, they're not just going to come in and like, let's make wholesale changes like my fantasy team every week. I'm sure they'll ease into it and probably build something good from it, hopefully. But it'll be interesting to see.
I think the schedule's just
Seems
out
like
in a couple of months, as it always is. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it then. Yeah,
it's quite late. Quite late though. You'd think they should have it out around now, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll get into the men's. We're already an hour 20 deep into this. It's flying by. Musings from Oscar, my 4-year-old, when Amory started his run, and we'd been watching a few of them, and he's like, "Dad, the girls are racing now." I was like, "Nah, still the guys." He's like, "No, it's the girls. He's wearing pink. Boys don't wear pink. Girls wear pink." I was like, "Oh shit." That didn't come from our house, but that must be a preschool thing. That was pretty amusing. But actually, did either of you guys notice how fucked off Gwyn looked when Finn knocked him out of the hot seat?
Yeah,
he was dark.
Yeah, he was. You could clearly see that he was pretty frustrated, like that he felt like he should have been ahead of that. I had a note. Finn was lucky to even make it to the bottom, let alone get a podium. That was a loose run.
Is that telling for my guy Gwyn though? Like, if he's pissed and he gets fourth, has he got another? What's he up to? 22 would be the next one, eh?
Red Dog.
Will he challenge for Nas?
Yeah, 22 wins. It could be getting close. I mean,
Is
do you
he
want to
two
double
off?
down on this? Do you want to double down on this Red Dog and make it 12 beers if he gets a win?
I reckon he's going to do it because I went and saw him afterwards because I've been just having a few like little just yarns with him and stuff, and I think he was pissed because of how his run went. Like, I don't think he was that happy.
He'd made mistakes, like it wasn't clean.
Yeah, I think he's like thinking, like, if I actually, now that everything's there close, and he's got this confidence and stuff, if he actually puts it together how he thinks he can or he wants to, he's going to do some damage. So how the hell does a guy like that get to 20 World Cup wins Like, he's obviously good, and he's fucking a different guy. Like, because he went and did that in like 3 seasons, and Minar's been
Oh yeah.
fucking 40 years. Like, if he does it, he's gonna smash it. Like, he'll get back on a roll again. Like, I don't think it's not like he might get maybe 3 more wins. Like, I think he can do it.
Let's not forget when Hill had his drought for quite a few years, from like 2009 all the way through to like 2015. You know, some of these guys can have a drought and come back. So I reckon if it's going to happen for Gwyn this year, I reckon it'll be Mont Saint Anne, because he's had some ridiculous runs at Mont Saint Anne.
Was Mont Saint Anne before Worlds or after?
Before. So next up is Snowshoe, and then it's Mont Saint Anne the week after.
I've got a theory that he's just aiming for Worlds. He's just building towards Worlds.
Where is Worlds this year?
Leger.
But
I'm not sure how well he's gone at Leger before, but not too well, I don't think.
I think that
Brosnan's going to win that anyway. So
as well.
Would you say Josh Bryson?
Troy Brosnan.
Oh, Troy Brosnan.
Bring back the rat.
I was hoping the rat was coming back.
Do you reckon he'd send a bridge to flat?
Nah.
Oh, yeah, of course he would.
A rat.
God save the rat. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Gwyn's cost me, upwards of $20 to $25, depending on what beers I have to buy Red Dog. But
I'm still thinking about it.
Still thinking about it. You might not get a choice.
I'll make Vanderkolk's more expensive than your ones.
But
I'll courier you down some beers if he wins one, Red Dog. I don't think he's going to win one this season. I think it'll be close, but I don't think he's going to win one. Because
if he doesn't win one, what do I
think the Frenchies are still got that little bit of a next level.
Yeah.
And the Frenchies, not all of the Frenchies are necessarily consistent, but there's enough of them to plug that first spot every week.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Bruni looks dangerous again too.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was so dialed in that run.
Devastating.
That was incredible. The guy just doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Often. He's just so smooth. His bike looks dialed. He's so in control.
Does this bike
he's incredible to watch.
You guys, like, can we just
the fork? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does, eh? Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it's affecting him though.
Doesn't what?
Like he looks like he's strong enough to deal with it being a little bit softer. Like it's never like he's blowing through the travel and kind of chest on the bars or anything. Like he's ready for it. Like it's just how he's got it set up. Obviously.
Is that just because it's working really well? Like it's not. Maybe it's using a lot of the travel all the time, but it's not bottoming out that harshly. It's just nice and controlled and well balanced on compressions.
I mean, obviously they're pretty dialed when it comes to things like data acquisition and everything. So they're definitely not going in blind. So yeah, I don't know. He seems fucking just dialed. Everything looked so good.
Wonder if we'll see him on that other bike soon.
Yeah, I reckon he's the sort of guy that probably won't change mid-season.
Yeah, I probably agree with that.
What do you reckon, Cam? You've been a teammate with him.
I was just going to say, should we talk to someone who knows him?
Yeah.
You could be right. I don't know. Maybe he's already been riding it like away from the races.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that bike is on working for him, so
yeah.
Fuck, it's hard to tell. What would you do if you were in his shoes,
Yes, especially if you're a guy who, like he just about won the race on the bike, so it's not like the bike's holding him back.
Yeah.
I actually found the original text conversation of where this bet with Gwyn eventuated from. Chris Schmiss Vanderkolk said, I bet you Nico gets better results than Gwyn. He probably wants to roll back on that one.
Yeah, I should have taken that as well, actually. I should have taken that.
Red Dog, Gwyn will be top 5. I said Gwyn doesn't podium this season. And Red Dog said, I'll take that, 6 hazies on it. And Chris Vanderkolk +1. So that's where the bet eventuated from.
Should have taken Vanderkolk would take some dumb bets. He said Finn Isles would never make it.
Yeah, clearly he hasn't. How about Matt Walker's crash in finals? That was huge. Just disappeared into a dust ball.
Dirty.
He just
We haven't
got
talked about Amory either. That crash.
ejected. Oh, we did briefly earlier on. But yeah, that was a huge crash. But that shows you, like, he still pulled a. Where did he end up? Like just outside of the top 10, wasn't it? 13th. Pretty impressive. Still got a huge lead in the overall. Like, he's pretty, barring disaster, got the overall pretty well sewn up, I reckon, because his main. Well,
He's
Matt Walker
miles
was in
ahead.
second, and Matt Walker ended up last. So actually, a few people moved up. Like I think Finn's moved up to second, and Loris has moved up to third. So shuffled everything around a bit.
Finn missed an entire race.
He
And
did
he's
too.
in
I
second.
forgot about that actually.
Which is pretty nuts. Like they wouldn't usually. That's not a very typical year.
He's
Nah.
consistent, which is impressive.
It's amazing though. Like one big result, like a podium, can set you up so much in that overall.
Yeah.
Or wreck your weekend. Like if Amory doesn't finish a race, then there's pressure on.
Yeah, big time. But like for him to come back and still pull that 13th, and when Matt Walker goes 60th or whatever he ends up, that's a big gap. We talked about Loris a bit. Obviously, Loris won, Brady second. Was it Finn third?
Loris looked
Andreas
dialed
Cole.
too. Like it wasn't loose. That was mistake.
Nah, that was,
free.
and that was over a second gap in the win, which was pretty solid.
He looked like he was riding in fast forward on some of it.
Yeah.
He reminded me of 2020 Loris, his first year on track. Where he just looked like, he just clearly looked like the fastest guy. That was what he was back to looking like this weekend, and I don't know why he hasn't been that guy at the start of the season, but he was hooking. Colvin fifth. I'm giving him best mustache award. Runner up was Loris. I think Loris has been growing his all season, but Colb's was a beauty.
Even Gwynn's was pretty good. The whole podium had some form of facial hair.
Even Finn.
Yeah.
Bernie's was like just a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, but everyone else had a proper stash of some description.
Maybe that was the key to the race. Having
Maybe
facial
it was.
hair. Yeah. Lit kit, I'm giving a Bruni. I really liked his kit. It was real simple, but the day glow pops were
It was
awesome.
messing with me. Was there something up with it? Like it looked like it changed.
It was like it had a blur on it.
I just like that he didn't have his name on his front this time around.
Well, that was my other question. And then Finn had it on there, and like, why the fuck are they putting Finn on there twice on the front of the jersey? It's just weird.
Maybe forgets who he is.
They could have just flipped it upside down or something.
What, like iLab? Is he on the team with them now?
He also could have had it upside down so he could look down his front and read his name.
Remember who he was.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't get that, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Weird.
Each to their own.
The only other thing I had, which was actually came post-race, was Minar's done a mid-season move to Smith Eyewear.
Has he?
Which was, just out
Weird,
today,
eh?
which was quite interesting. Because
Money talks.
But yeah, it's crazy because he went from Oakley, like 24 years as an Oakley athlete or something, to this whole big Fox deal, and now he's left Fox and gone to Smith. So
that's interesting.
Matt Sims,
very
if
weird.
you care to update the team, would be all.
Yeah, come on, Goots. Let us know what's happened here. Rumor has it there's a new Smith goggle on the way, so maybe that's part of it. Maybe they've thrown some Smith cash at him. But yeah, weird that it's been mid-season.
So weird.
And
so weird.
Yeah.
Don't see that every day.
But that's
doesn't happen very often, eh?
No.
And like those Fox goggles aren't shit either. They're a pretty high-end goggle, so it's not. I can't imagine he was having big issues with them or anything. It wasn't like he went to something budget from Oakley. But...
No, as someone who gets Fox goggles from someone else on this show for free when they change sponsors, I think they're pretty good.
You endorse them. You endorse free second-hand goggles.
Yeah.
anything else from the race, boys? Anything else you want to touch on before we?
I wanted to ask Cam, seeing we've got him here finally, what the
Absolutely.
after party scene's like at the moment, or is everyone all too serious with back-to-back races and short gaps between them? It's got to be detrimental to have a big bender after a race now.
Yeah, surely, especially on a back-to-back. But in saying that, there was a fair, just I heard anyway. Definitely.
Oh yeah. You heard some guys.
Word on the street.
Yeah, there was a pretty big sender after a Lenzerheide, and there was another. I saw some video footage of the common sale spot going off on the weekend too. So I guess there's a bit of a gap. And actually,
I mean, let's be real. 90% of the guys are still going to go have a good time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it's interesting, eh? Like in this day and age, that they're still like it's there's still the boys and the lads, like getting after it after the race. Even the dudes who are like, I mean, take Manar for example. Like he's getting old. He's not going to bounce back like he used to, obviously. And you'd think, like, if he's looking for the small wins, surely not having a bender after the race is a pretty easy win.
Yeah.
Is it though? It might be what he needs.
Well, maybe, but I mean, there's science behind this as well. It's not just my opinion.
Okay.
Science is bullshit, though. My friend's uncle told me.
I don't know. It's just an interesting thing I was thinking about. I mean, yeah, if you were the pro guy right now, and you were looking for marginal gains, surely you're like, right, I can't afford to have a late night and 24 beers, 36 beers,
and some darts,
and
it's always some speed six coming.
Whatever happens, whatever those guys get up to.
It's tough though because they want to blow off.
Andorra's had some good parties.
Yeah,
that's what the off season's for, though.
Yeah, but it builds up, like in a sport that's like adrenaline and
Yeah, I get it. It's interesting.
And whatever. Excuse the term there because there's some fast women out there too. But you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I fully know what you mean. It's just it's an interesting one because I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure.
Obviously, like during a national season, you were obviously in bed after the race, sort of 8:39. Bit of a debrief, cup of tea.
Yeah, and look, my results just showed how serious I was about the whole thing.
I was going to say, I do remember driving Moki from Blenheim to Nelson after an after party one year, and he slept the whole way. But now that I think about it, that was the year that you were actually emceeing the national series and you weren't racing. So it was
case in point. My racing was very serious.
I actually had I had a question that ties in with that quite nicely that came from Instagram from one Matthew Hunt. He said, MC Perry knows how to rouse the crowd and get the party started. The fans want to know what the wildest thing he's seen at a down or after party is.
Oh man, I'm not the person to ask really.
Impromptu haircuts.
That's at your stag do, isn't it?
I've seen Moki get
and Pusher.
Moki's had a couple.
I had
two beers and he'll shave his head.
Hang. Quite a few impromptu haircuts. I reckon there's
definitely always been.
Not wild, not that wild, but
a few impromptu haircuts. I think Punter was Punter used to get pretty
scent.
Yeah, scent is probably a good way to put it.
Remember that year of that year of the national series where there was like 6 arrests over the course of the New Zealand national series, and that was like the last year for quite a while that they ran national rounds on a Saturday. They moved them all to the downhill races to Sunday to try and curb some of that.
On that topic, just just because you brought that up, that year. There was a guy racing in Andorra that was in New Zealand that year, just this week been, and he was on several pro teams after that. Who was it? Did you guys pick up that?
Fabian Petermanod.
Yeah.
Got him. Was he racing?
Yeah. Like out of nowhere.
No.
Was he?
Yeah.
I didn't even see his name in there.
Insane. I don't know. I didn't see him on the bike. I saw him off the bike. But
26-inch what was that South African brand? That's what I remember him riding
Oh,
last.
Lord.
Forward.
Well, Common Sale before
He was
that.
loose, eh?
Before that.
He was wild,
Yeah,
but man, he went on a tear though, and he had some great results for a while there.
A couple of podiums.
He went on a tear at the after parties too. There he is.
He's a unit.
Where was he?
Hang about here. So hang on.
He tore his way through New Zealand, that's for sure.
This can't be right. So in qualifying in sector 2, he hit the fastest time.
No.
No, he didn't.
He went like.
There was a timing glitch.
Can't be right.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
I mean, maybe he did.
He was like 36, 30s. Yeah, he's like 136 first, 144. Yeah. It's way too fast. It's 37 seconds. Nah, it's way too
incredible.
fast. It's not possible.
Was he actually
Peter Menard.
in what were his splits, Red Dog? What were his placings for each?
136.
Oh, yeah.
And then 141st, 117, 121. Finished 113, which is about where Red Dog would finish in a qualifying.
That's pretty good.
Dickerson was there as well. But he was, I don't know, he was there.
Maybe next time.
Wait, Bryn Dickerson was there.
Maybe next time we should.
Yeah, apparently.
Riders that qualify. We could really pull some gems out of that, I feel like.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a Kiwi trio right near the end.
Yeah, William McDermott, Sean Barclay, and Bryn Dickerson.
Sam Dale was in there too. Big comeback.
Big Sam.
Was he?
Sambo.
Yeah, he's had a few World Cup podiums.
Right hand Sam.
Yeah, he was pretty solid, that guy.
Yeah.
Had a good EWS in Elethan too.
Yeah.
We got sidetracked again, didn't we? That's not usual for us.
We sure did.
Actually, speaking of Andorra, there was one year where one of our elite riders decided he was going to try and do a backflip off of a wall at the after party and ended up with a broken collarbone, which affected him for a good more than a season after that. And then another of our elite riders who is still racing to this day, so this is 2007, I reckon. No, 2008 season. Yeah. I'm talking. Another of our elite riders, we won't name him, he ended up handcuffed in a police car, and the police left him sitting in there, and some guys opened the door and let him out, and he tried running while handcuffed and was taken down and taken into custody. So, Andorra has some history with New Zealanders and after parties.
Yeah, I've got a great passport story from that one as well, but let's not go there right now.
Save that for another show.
Yeah.
Right, I'll touch on fantasy and Red Dog. This is a shocker. Coming in first for this week was one Caleb Smith. Can you believe it?
Oh, you are kidding me.
I just looked at them before and I was like, fuck off. I had to dig into his profile to have a look. And also, unbelievably, third place, Tom Bradshaw. What the hell happened this week?
Against all odds.
Asher Hart slid in second place. I went top 10 this week, pulled a 7th. Not too bad. Red Dog and his just rollover team in 23rd. Actually, you just slid in front of Chris Vanderkolk.
My rollover team's really bad too. It's really bad.
No one scored 0 points this week, so that's good. But Emma Bateup really needs to work on her team because she definitely scores in just the double digits every week. So
maybe she's got a rollover team.
Yeah, possibly.
One day all the pieces will align. We'll be back in business.
They'll all fall into place. Liam Jackson's still leading the series.
No shit.
So, yeah, Liam's been pretty strong, pretty consistent. He might be getting that pack and save chamois at this rate.
I hope so.
What a prize.
What a prize. Fucking fantasy. What a shit game.
So Caleb doesn't get a prize though, right?
No,
unless he wins overall.
I bought him lunch a few weeks ago. That's his prize.
Damn.
We had a few listener questions through on Instagram. We touched on the mud tyres one. Is Jackson the Syndicate's number one rider now?
Yes.
I mean, I'd say he is currently.
Not Laurie was off again, eh? Oh,
yeah, Laurie's had a couple of weird weekends.
I think he was
not what he's. Okay. See, these are the things that we don't know unless we've got a man on the ground. So
Yeah.
it's great to have your horse. This one was more of a comment. The French are masters of jank downhill tracks. The Andorrans are masters of jank logistics. So it's just kind of a comment, I guess, on that one.
Good.
Matt Hunt is going to sponsor the pod with Heineken Zeros. He said he's got heaps of them, but pick up only. I wanted
saw
to
him
actually
the
put
other
this.
week. He didn't
I
offer
wanted to
those.
put this to a vote. I'm saying no. No, thank you.
Okay.
That doesn't fall into the if it's free, it's for me category.
We might be able to sell them. And
That's
then
true.
we can put that into our fund to get us to Europe.
To go actually see
Can we
one of these
take the
races.
podcast to an actual race?
Oh,
That'd
no,
be
we're going to go to...
We're going to
Crankworks, yeah.
What's Crankworks?
Yeah, but they're paying for that.
Yeah, it's
They'll be
true.
paying.
We'll get them to get the checkbook out.
That'll be sick.
We need to make mention of that dude from the US who left the voicemail for us.
We don't have voicemail. Can you get that queued up, Red Dog?
Did you get
You want to hear Brad Cummins?
Brad Cummins has left us a voicemail, so we need to get that. We probably need to get that on the air. The last question I had on Instagram that I checked was, is Red Dog a Gwyn guy now?
Red Dog is a Gwyn guy.
He always was.
Okay, put it this way: no other racer at that race has earned me 12 beers. Until someone can get me 12 beers, I'm a Gwyn guy.
Can you show us your Gwyn tattoo? Have you got it yet?
It's not. It's not in the face.
He put it next to his fox tattoo that's on the back of his calf.
How do you feel about Gwyn's Thor kit? I liked it.
Nah. Looked like he was wearing a vest.
Yeah, the vest style thing is weird.
Actually, another comment on kits is the pivot team. They've been listening, right? Like burn into
short
sleeve. Like
they're hilling it. Short sleeve tops with pants on. They're doing everything right.
Yeah.
Matt Walker was in shorts this week. They're bringing it
what
back.
About Stevens McNugget?
He was in shorts.
I didn't see him in shorts this week.
Shorts and short.
He was in shorts again.
It was a combo.
Shorts and short sleeve. Now you're talking.
Yeah, 100%.
That was pretty hot there by the look of it.
Yeah.
We actually had some high-profile followers just recently. As recent as 42 minutes ago, Sven Martin just started following the podcast on Instagram, so that's pretty high end. The Real Stickman followed us a couple of days ago too, so he's obviously heard Red Dog's shout out last week. And New Zealand OG Ox O'Connell from Rockstar Racing.
Oh,
maybe the biggest celebrity of them all.
Very high profile. How are we going with that voicemail? Yeah, let's get it on there.
Yeah, g'day mate, Brad Cummins coming at you again. This time I'm in the tractor down by San Clementina in SoCal, punishing myself for podcast. Shit, it's good to have you on, Lester. Really straighten out Red Dog and KB, get some actual analysis and thoughts here. Wanted to weigh in on the gossip of Discovery next year. Not to make this too much like Murray Deaker sports chat, but you know, this is what the punters get for free content. Hey, do you watch the Tour de France? Because Discovery do that, and it's fucking great, I think. Road coverage is easier for sure, but I don't think it's all doom and gloom from the broadcast piece. Like Red Bull didn't even have the graphics up for Andorra. Like, come on. So I think that'll be okay. The biggest worry is more the rule changes to the top 30 thing. But what if they made it top 30 and then Crankworks did a Dunbar Summer Series style downhill where 3 downhill races in a week, one on the weekend, one midweek, one the following weekend, put some big cash up, and that would be a good feeder option for the privateers and probably draw some pros into compare against. Thanks, mates, for letting me unsolicit some advice on you. Does that make sense?
So there he is, Brad.
He said he's in a tractor, but fuck, he sounds out of breath. What's he doing
he's
in that
panting a lot. Like, what's he doing in that tractor?
He's pushing his tractor.
Possibly.
Oh, he might be pushing his tractor.
Pushing the tractor?
He might be pulling something, actually.
Yeah, I think he was pulling something. Great to have a SoCal listener on board, though.
Must be.
Sounds
He'd be a
good.
big Gwyn fan, wouldn't he? He'd be a big Gwyn
Yeah.
fan.
Oh, I'd say so. I'll give him credit. The Tour de France coverage this year has been fantastic. So yeah, thanks for that unsolicited advice there, Brad Cummins. We
Are we
love the
concerned?
voicemails.
We're not so much concerned about the TV coverage as you are about the changes, right? Like the format changes and things.
I think it's the unknown at this stage. No one just
Yeah,
kind of knows
probably
what to
right.
expect.
I do think it'd be
Fair.
cool to have like someone step in and backfill a potential gap left if they did tighten things up, like in terms of racing, like his Crankworks idea or something.
Mm,
But you got to put the
Yeah, I
money up,
reckon it's got to
otherwise
happen.
no one's going to be keen.
that's 100% it, really. If you can put the money up and build some sort of feeder series into the World Cups, you'd probably kill it.
Maybe when some more information gets released and a schedule, maybe we could dive into this a little deeper.
Maybe we could
Great
create
idea,
an
Horse.
OTB race series.
I mean,
You guys in? Has anyone got some cash they want to put up? Because I've got none, but
Well, if we sell those 0% beers,
fuck, you're on something, Moki.
there's one podium worth of prize money.
Yeah. Depends
Well,
how many
actually, we
get.
could just not do prize money. We could do bags of pasta.
And
that's
we'll give them
been-
beers.
Yeah, or pasta and salad, lettuce.
Why don't
Can
we? Why don't
can we
we
get
run it?
salads on board?
Why don't we run it like because it's going to be like privateers and stuff. Why don't we make it like an island, like so they're all fighting to survive from racing. So like they don't get to eat unless they win.
Nobody's getting food tonight.
Yeah.
That sounds like the Pickpock Academy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that guy Brad, he had a familiar
That's
sounding
where he sounds
voice.
familiar from. I forget. I didn't remember someone called Brad on there, but maybe I've just missed him.
We might get an invoice from outside media soon if we're not careful.
Yeah. We better go behind the paywall.
Yeah.
Have you got our
Oh, very
Patreon
good.
yet? That's how we can fund our race team, our race series rather.
I was actually going to start an OnlyFans account, but you guys need to get involved in that one too. I can't do that one alone.
That's all you, mate. That's all you.
Oh shit! Right, that's probably a good time to call it a night. We're pretty deep into this one tonight. Thanks for joining us deep in the heart of Iran, there, Horse. Good to have you back again.
Yeah, glad we
course.
could make it work. Glad we finally managed to line everything up.
Time zones are a real pain in the ass.
It was good to have some credibility on the show for one time.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Just a little bit.
Wait for the ratings to go through the roof on this one when you see Cam Cole on the
Just a little bit.
on the name of
On the
podcast.
clickbait title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make some. So can you guys give me some suggestions for clickbait titles?
I can't believe Cam Cole did this.
I can't believe Cam Cole said this.
You might double your amount of downloads. You might get,
Maybe that'd be pretty
Who's
good.
better
if we
than
could.
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So you guys, if you
increase.
three could all do a download, that'd be great. That'll really bump our numbers up quite exponentially.
Does it work if you download it and then delete it and then download it again? Does that count as two?
I think it's only one time per account. But if you've got Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please listen to it on both platforms because that's two. So you know,
Ooh.
that'll really
I
bump us
deleted
up
the
as well.
podcast app and I ain't bringing it back. Not for this.
Jesus. You don't even support your own show.
He's deep on Spotify.
Nah. Are we still peddling the Troy Lee code?
It's live until midnight on the 20th, which is today's Tuesday, so that's tomorrow on Wednesday.
Oh, perfect.
Hopefully I can get this done and up in the morning, and then maybe get some last minute orders. But if not, if it doesn't work, still just go buy your product from troyleardesigns.co.nz, spend some money, and then keep my sponsor happy.
I'm heading there right now because I actually need some knee pads. So.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, Horse, me too.
So does Red Dog.
Cripes, how's the freight charge to Iran?
Doesn't have to go that far.
I've got some pretty good methods, actually. That cut it
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
He's a master of smuggling.
I
All right. Let's call it a podcast. And thanks to the potentially 1 or 2 people who have actually made it this deep, about an hour and 50 minutes into the podcast. If you've done that, you've done well. I don't know if we'll be back next week because it's a couple of week gap. We might do. But otherwise, we'll see you next time.
What's up? I come from the land of down under. I can't hear you. What was that? I can't hear you. I let it be like John Lennon, the anti-serum that you don't get for poisonous venom. Read the label carefully, I'm only here for the show. I love hip-hop too much to let you feed my ego. In the key of F-U-C-K, Y-O-U. I mean, why do I owe you if you're not helping me through? I mean, why do I owe you if you're obstructing my view? Success is not my castle, just a house that's brand new. You see, I irrigate the culture, give it shape like a sculpture. Still complicated, drop like I'm supposed to. B-L-I-T-Z like my DJ. Rock to the rhythm like you rock to what he plays.